right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Weekend warm-up, why temperatures rebound over the weekend, and if rain will dampen your plans.
Plus, a new law leaves campers concerned. Viewers ask the Verify team, is camping in state parks illegal? But first tonight, a thief steals a car with half the family still inside.
I'm like, man, please. I say, it's a baby back here. Please, stop.
It happened in a daycare parking lot. What the suspect did with his unwilling passengers.
Tonight, police are still looking for that thief. Good evening, I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. The crime is prompting a warning to parents. And new tonight, our Robert Townsend talked to the brave grandpa who risked his life to keep his granddaughter safe.
I got in just as he got in.
Early Monday morning, Tyrone Hayes and his family got the scare of their lives outside his children's daycare in North St. Louis. The Guardian Angel Child Care Center is located near North Vandeventer and Cook Avenues.
I was terrified. I really was.
Hayes says around 7 a.m. he was dropping off his grandchildren at the daycare when a masked man suddenly hopped out of a white Impala and hopped in his daughter's Volkswagen.
He jumped right in the front seat.
The stranger suddenly started driving off with the car with Hayes partially inside.
Hey, baby girl.
And his 9-month-old granddaughter, Amanda, on the back seat in her car seat.
I held onto the seat and I held onto the baby's seat.
The 59-year-old grandpa repeatedly pleaded to the would-be car thief.
I say, man, look, it's a baby back here. I say, man, let me get this baby out. I say, and you can take the vehicle.
The guy finally stopped, but when Hayes grabbed his grandbaby, the thief sped off in his daughter's car, despite having the key fob. Police found the stolen car the next day, several miles away in Florissant.
Now, that was the surprise.
Hayes' daughter trailed her dad to the daycare and rode separately in her second vehicle. She didn't know what happened until her 2018 Volkswagen was gone.
It was very terrifying to know that people actually can just sit out there and then just plot on parents dropping their kids off.
So after that family scare, police want to remind you, no matter where you are, always be alert and keep your eyes open at all times.
Be extra careful.
I'm just glad her and my dad are safe.
Baby Amanda was sound asleep.
She slept the whole time, the whole time, bless her heart.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
We have breaking news tonight from the entertainment world. Just 2 hours ago, we learned Lisa Marie Presley, the only child of Elvis Presley, has died. She was rushed to a Los Angeles hospital earlier today after suffering cardiac arrest. Presley's death comes just 2 days after attending the Golden Globe Awards, where Austin Butler won Best Actor for his portrayal of her father in the biopic film Elvis. Presley achieved her own music career and had high-profile marriages to Michael Jackson and actor Nicolas Cage. She is survived by her mother, Priscilla Presley, and 3 children. Lisa Marie Presley was only 54 years old.
Tonight, a big step towards justice in a 20-year-old cold case. Deanne Howland's torso was found near a rest stop in Wright City in 2004. Now police have a suspect in custody. Our Laura Barczewski has more from investigators about the major break in this case. Laura.
And DNA technology was the biggest reason they were able to actually identify her body and also find the Maryland Heights man who they say admitted to her brutal murder.
We pass our sincere condolences on to you and your family for the loss of your mom.
Major Case Squad Captain John Romas says 35-year-old Deanne Howland was killed sometime around June 26, 2004. 2 days later, only her torso was found at a rest stop off I-70 in Wright City. At the time, they couldn't identify her until 2016 when everything changed.
Warren County investigators forwarded the DNA from the brother and other family members to a private DNA lab and then to the Missouri Highway Patrol laboratory for comparison to the victim's DNA.
And she always was so sweet.
Her daughter, Ashley Kinnear, says it was somewhat of a relief to get answers.
I'm surprised we made it that far. Maybe that's all I'm going to get. I need to come to terms with this might be the end of it.
But it wasn't the end. Detectives say in 2021, DNA evidence sent to the FBI pointed them to 63-year-old Mike Clarity. Investigators say after his arrest earlier this week, he admitted to killing Howland.
The relationship between Clarity and Howland appears to be related to her employment in sex as a sex worker. a disagreement developed during their interaction.
Kinnear says while she will never have closure because nothing can bring back her mom, she will have justice.
If there was anything you could say to your mom who was taken away from you at such a young age, what would it be?
Oh man, here's the waterworks. It would be that I know she never gave up on us. Like, no matter how many times people would tell me, like, sorry, maybe the drugs are better than you, she just doesn't want to come back, I knew that was wrong. Like, I had just enough experience with her as a person to know how much she loved us. I know, Mom, I know. I never doubted it. I know you loved me, and I know that you were taken away and that you didn't just leave.
Kinnear says she will always remember her mom as a loving person and wants others dealing with cold cases to take this as a sign of hope. Clarity is being held on a $1 million bond in Warren County Jail.
A man sentenced to life in prison last week for killing a woman outside her home in South St. Louis has now been convicted of killing a mother and her young daughter. Today, a jury found Shawn McLean guilty in the August 2021 murders of Tara Bankhead and 8-year-old Daniela Edwards. The day before those murders, McLean killed Tori Menisco. He'll be sentenced for today's convictions next month. Tonight, we're learning more about a local developer's plans to breathe new life into the former AT&T Tower downtown. The 44-story skyscraper has sat vacant since 2017.
Now it could be home to retail, residential, and office space in just a matter of years. As our Brent Solomon reports, developers have already cleared the first major hurdle.
Taking a stroll downtown and giving Max an opportunity to get outside, Frank Beachy feels right at home because this part of the city is home.
But I've lived downtown since 2011.
In that time, he's noticed something that hasn't changed.
I've lived downtown for 10 years, and I know that building has been vacant for 10 years.
He's referring to this 44-story building that's been here for 36 years, commonly known as the AT&T Building. When a property is sat vacant for so long, it's pretty easy to imagine the possibilities. And that's what developers are doing right now. Wednesday, the St. Louis Planning Commission gave approval to the Advantis Group to continue pitching a plan to the Board of Aldermen. That plan is to create 300 hotel rooms, more than 300 apartment units, along with retail and office space here at 9th and Chestnut Streets.
Anything's better than it sitting empty. Brings a lot of blight to just have it sitting here without anything going on in it.
The Board of Aldermen will decide whether to give developers the green light and whether they should get a proposed tax abatement of up to 15 years.
Well, if they can get tenants to fill it, it'd be wonderful. But the problem is, a lot of people are leaving downtown, so that's an awful large building to try to fill the capacity, so I don't know how they're going to pull it off.
I don't know how much in demand more apartments are downtown right now. Most people I talk to, it's not their number one place they want to live. But I mean, building more places like that might change that.
Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
The plan would be a $300 million investment slated to bring some $13 million in revenue to the city and more than $2 million to city schools. Tonight, an iconic downtown building is boarded up. The city has condemned the historic Railway Exchange building. In its heyday, the 1 million square foot building used to house Famous Bar, which later became Macy's. The building, built in 1914, has sat vacant since 2017. Recently, trespassers have been living inside. The city says it hasn't heard back from the owner, but right now there are no plans to demolish that building.
A new Missouri law left some campers confused. The law makes unauthorized camping on state land a crime, punishable by up to 15 days in jail and hundreds of dollars in fines. Many of you reached out to the Verify team concerned about your camping plans. Let's verify. 1 million people camp at Missouri state parks every year. A new law in Missouri, effective January 1st, states no person shall be permitted to use state-owned lands for unauthorized sleeping, camping, or the construction of long-term shelters. A 5 on your side viewer from Maryland Heights asked the Verify team, is it true camping in Missouri state parks is now illegal? Let's verify. Our sources, David Kelly, director of Missouri State Parks, and Senator Holly Rader, who sponsored the new law. We know from reading the bill, unauthorized camping is now a crime. But what does unauthorized mean? It's confusing because camping in Missouri doesn't have strict protocols when it comes to authorization.
You don't have to make a reservation to camp at any of the 92 state-owned parks. And sometimes there's no park staff, so an honor system is used, hoping you'll pay the campsite fee. The Verify team showed the law to the director of Missouri State Parks. He says it comes down to the land's designated use.
Says we have designated campsites. So it's not unauthorized. We have authorized campsites. And so that's why the bill doesn't really affect our operation.
Senator Rader, who wrote the legislation, told the Verify team the law is aimed at the unhoused population and explains why she used the word camping.
That is because we do have so many unsanctioned encampments. Absolutely, we're not talking about normal campers.
We can verify this is false. The new law does not make camping illegal in state parks. What would you like for us to verify for you? Please send me an email. The email address is verify@kstk.com.
Tonight, members of the St. Louis Board of Aldermen are on a step closer to getting a big pay raise. Today, the Personnel Committee advanced a proposal to double the salaries of alderpersons and their stipends. This means they'll be making nearly $80,000 a year. Alderman Joe Vaccaro staunchly opposes the raise, saying it's too much for a part-time job.
To justify this when we're not paying our police, we're not paying our firefighters, we're not paying our dispatchers, the refuge workers, this is a slap in the face to every city employee.
Board President Megan Green supports the raises. She argues their workload will soon double when the number of wards and alderpersons is cut in half. The pay increase still needs final approval from the board.
It's the chilling video that led to protests and a police officer charged. But that former officer won't spend time behind bars.
It was going to be a close call with the evidence as how things may play out in the trial.
Tonight, the prosecutor who struck a deal in the case is speaking to the I-Team. The reason it could benefit the victim. Up in arms.
I'm not going to sit here and tell people to violate the law.
Tonight, a Metro East sheriff's message to gun owners in his county about the state's new assault weapons ban.
This more typical January weather isn't hanging around for that long this go-round, when a more prolonged period of cold might actually settle across St. Louis.
Tonight, we learned the woman rescued from a burning home in South St. Louis has died. Kathy Palmer became trapped inside her home on Watson near Arsenal early Tuesday morning. Firefighters say the fire was caused by a space heater in the basement. It was being used to keep 7 puppies warm. Firefighters were able to save the animals.
The city of Florissant became ground zero for protests after video of a police SUV mowing down a suspect went viral. The Florissant Police Department fired the officer. Now
the I-Team has found court documents showing the officer won't be facing any prison time. Tonight, our Christine Byers talked to the prosecutor who struck the deal with the officer to find out why.
The video is hard to forget. A Florissant police SUV strikes a suspect. For months, protesters gathered outside the Florissant Police Department demanding charges against Officer Joshua Smith.
What do we want? Justice! It all happened here in this neighborhood in June of 2020. Now the officer is walking away with 2 years of probation.
St. Charles County prosecutor Tim Lomar was assigned the case.
How is it that this is justice?
I think justice looks different in different ways. The one person who chose not to be involved in this was the victim, and at the end of the day, we decided to respect his wishes.
At first, Lomar issued multiple charges against the officer. Some of them came with mandatory prison time.
The moment that vehicle turned its headlights towards the victim, that became a 4,000-pound missile.
Now, Lomar says it all comes down to intent and being able to prove whether Smith's actions were intentional or reckless. Smith's attorneys insisted his client hit the victim on accident.
It was going to be a close call with the evidence as how things may play out in the trial. But ultimately, the victim in this case, through his attorney, was very adamant that we resolve this case short of a trial.
The victim is separately suing the city of Florissant. That case is still pending. Smith's plea deal also means the city's insurance will have to pay up if it loses in court.
If a person is shown to have acted intentionally, oftentimes insurance will not cover the consequences of that person's actions. Whereas if the person is shown to have acted negligently or recklessly, In other words, without intent to injure, for example, that's when the insurance proceeds would still cover the consequences of their actions.
The victim's attorney did not return our repeated phone calls and text messages for comment. One of the protest leaders was unavailable to go on camera, but he told us he respects the victim's wishes and believes the sentence should have been more harsh. To learn what the officer's attorney had to say about the plea deal, read my story on KSTK.com. For the I-Team, Christine Byers, 5 on your side.
New reaction tonight to the assault weapons ban now in effect in Illinois. Monroe County Sheriff Neil Rolfing joins a growing number of law enforcement leaders in Illinois saying they will not enforce this law. Not only does it ban the sale and manufacture of assault-style semi-automatic weapons and attachments, current owners must register their weapons with state police. Sheriff Rolfing calls the law out of touch.
When you're dealing with a population like Chicago compared to Monroe County of 34,000, that's a vast difference amount of people. You're going to have more issues. If you want to abide by the law and register them, by all means register them, but it's not something we're going to proactively go out and look for and enforce at this time.
Law enforcement leaders in St. Clair, Greene, Macoupin, and Madison counties have also said they will not enforce the law. Governor J.B. Pritzker says they don't get to pick and choose which laws they enforce.
Developing tonight, at least 6 people are dead after severe weather spawned a devastating tornado in central Alabama. Tonight, crews are still searching homes. More than a dozen others have been hurt. This same storm system is also blamed for a death in Georgia.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is here with the Weather First forecast. Big change today, very cold, and some people got some snow.
Yeah, some people did. You know, we talked about this last night, that we thought it was going to be in mid-Missouri and then back towards the Ozarks. This was Osage Beach just before sunset. That's still snow on the ground. They had 3 to 5 inches this morning, right after. It started before the sun came up, and then it was just pouring snow. So that area around Sunrise Beach and Osage Beach and Lori, they all picked up a lot of snow, and of course it came quickly and caused a lot of traffic issues. We didn't get that in St. Louis because the intensity wasn't that great. We still have some patches of drizzle around the area. We're pretty close to freezing too right now. It's not been enough, as best we can tell, to where there'd be any slick spots out there. 32 degrees right now in St. Louis. That is our new low for the day. We still have a wind out of the northwest at 15 miles per hour. That 52 for the high right after midnight. Early this morning. No, it did not happen during the day. There is another little disturbance here sliding down through Illinois. That's actually kicking off a few snowflakes here across central portions of Illinois, and they're trying to drop down towards the Interstate 55 corridor here east of Litchfield, and then heading over towards Fayette County, Vandalia, Ramsey, Illinois, probably slipping along the Interstate 57 corridor overnight. Of course, we heard about those thunderstorms that were intense. They swept across the south through the day today, now pushing across northern Georgia and southeastern portions of Florida, or southeastern Georgia and northern portions of Florida. That system produced numerous tornadoes, about 3 dozen reports at this point. Overnight tonight, you'll see that patchy area of flurries and light snow east of St. Louis. There might be a few spots to get a little freezing drizzle. At this point, it doesn't look like it's enough to cause travel problems or any big problems for us, but wouldn't be surprised to see a little coating along the Interstate 57 corridor. Eventually tomorrow, we do start to clear out a bit around the St. Louis area. That will lead us into a clear and very cold start for early on Saturday. We'll be back to 44 with a lot of sunshine through much of the day, but by Saturday evening, the clouds are already here. Looks like they're with us on Sunday. And as we head into Sunday night, the chances for rain will be on the increase as this system pulls in from the west. That's the storm coming ashore out in California right now. At least some of the energy from that will inspire this development. That also means Monday, our day of service for Martin Luther King. A lot of folks will be out doing projects, and we're going to have to dodge some rain across the area. And you know, we haven't had a lot of cold air recently. This month, still well above average. The pattern is going to shift. It looks like as we head about to January 23rd, 24th, 25th, the jet stream taking more of a dip. That is going to allow some of that colder air that's been pent up in Canada. It's going to allow it to drop down into the bi-state region, and we should have below average temperatures to end the month and head into early next week. Near 60 on Monday, cold tomorrow, but then it warms right back up.
All right, Scott, thanks. Frank is here with sports.
Mike, the Blues laid an egg. SIUE keeps winning. Matt Holiday is leaving, and we're playing hit and run. Stick around, please.
The Sports Desk is brought to you by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer, 10 years running.
So the Blues are playing a lot of players who may not be in the NHL right now if it were not for a lot of injuries. They're down 4 defensemen and 2 star forwards. The young guys have been good, but over the long haul, you can pay a price for it, like tonight against Calgary. 1-0 Flames in the third, and Jake Neighbors will pick up a loose puck and unleash a rocket. Third goal of his career, second of the season, and we are tied at 1. Now the Blues got one to beat the Note, the final 4-1.
We had some chances, but we need more guys that are willing to, to play that style of game.
The SLU Billikens are riding high after last night's win over George Mason. They responded to Travis Ford being ejected by scoring the game's final 9 points, and the coach was beaming after the game.
If things aren't going right, you got to do something about it. And tonight, the guys did something about it. I'm just really proud of their resilience and coming together. I'm really as proud as I've been in a team in a long time.
SIU Edwardsville was at Eastern Illinois tonight, and this is history. The Cougars' DeMarco Minor made his 47th consecutive free throw. It breaks a 40-year OVC record. How about that? Love the pride of Collinsville, Rayshawn Taylor. Look at this nifty dribbling display, and then the bucket. SIUE is now 13-5 with an 80-60 victory. So the Matt Holiday as a bench coach era lasted 66 days, 0 games. Holiday decided he'd rather spend his time watching his kids and not on the road. The best decision of all time. So he's out and Joe McEwing is in. He comes from the White Sox, where he most recently was a third base coach. So we thought with the winter warm-up coming up this weekend that tonight would be an ideal time to play hit and run with the president of the Cardinals, John Mozeliak. Let's do it. When you take Nolan Arenado to dinner, who picks up the tab? You're paying him $35 million.
I believe I paid.
When you bring a person to St. Louis to recruit him to be a Cardinal, what restaurant would you take him to?
Historically, I eat at Dominic's.
So you've been a part of so many historical Cardinal moments. Best piece of sports memorabilia that you have in the Mozeliak house right now?
All our better hitters through the last 15, 20 years have always personalized a bat for me.
Baseball hero growing up?
Johnny Bench and George Brett.
You told me before you don't take vacations. How does Mrs. Mozeliak feel about this?
Not great. She's done great with our kids though. She takes them. I will say a few years ago I did bounce off to Europe because my daughter was studying abroad. But no, it's hard to step away.
Most rewarding aspect of the job besides winning a championship?
When you get to see a player who's drafted with the Cardinals come up through the system and then actually play here in Busch is really cool.
When you're at a grocery store or a gas station, what do you hear most from fans nowadays?
Well, whatever they think we need most. So I would say in the last 2 months, it's what shortstop are you going to get? I remind them we have Tommy Edman. And then probably most recently is what starting pitcher are we going to go sign?
So you're still a young man. How much longer do you think you'll do this?
Oh, I don't know. More of the question is how much longer does Bill want me?
It is a good job. It's like George Costanza. Remember, he wanted to be a GM?
Yes.
Right. They're kind of tough to get, but it's a great job when you can get it.
But he wanted to stay away from the work.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Frank.
Coming up, a skunk has taken over a 911 dispatch center. Why no one, though, is raising a stink.
Tax season is almost here. Today, the IRS announced it will start processing 2022 tax returns on January 23rd. This year, you have until April 18th to file. That's because April 15th falls on a Saturday, and the 17th is Emancipation Day.
Tomorrow is Friday the 13th, a day associated, of course, with bad luck and omens. The Friday the 13th Club in Philadelphia used to gather on this date to dispel superstitions like breaking mirrors, opening umbrellas and doors, and walking under ladders. The club was founded by Benjamin Franklin, but disbanded in 2000.
And you've heard of emotional support dogs, but a 911 dispatcher in Indiana has an emotional support skunk. His name is Nugget, and he's actually a hit with her coworkers. And I know what you're thinking. What about the smell? Turns out domesticated skunks are descented as bait.
Still got some good claws on him, though.
And there you have it, 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Chelsea Handler is Jimmy's guest. Have a great tomorrow.